Let's talk about dynamization.
Arsenic can be used to treat food poisoning.
How do homeopathic remedies work if they are super diluted? The more diluted they are, the more powerful their effects. How does this work? To understand these questions, we'll have to explore the homeopathic doctrine of drug dynamization. Dynamization is the unique method of preparing remedies during which the inherent latent medicinal properties of substances are awakened. This is achieved through the methods of potentization. This is when a substance is repeatedly diluted and triturated or succussed in order to dynamize the substance and activate its healing properties. The process begins with dilution, where the original substance, be it plant, mineral, or animal-based, is mixed with a solvent, like alcohol if it is liquid or soluble, or lactose powder if it is solid or insoluble. Dilution of substances allows the harmful effects to be reduced. This is how homeopathic remedies made from poisonous substances such as belladonna, arsenic, and nux vomica do not cause toxicity or side effects. Between each dilution is the vital step of succussion if the substance is liquid, where the diluted substance is vigorously shaken or struck against a firm surface. If the substance is solid, trituration takes place, where the diluted substance is ground with a mortar and pestle. Samuel Hahnemann, the father of homeopathy, believed that this shaking and trituration action activated the latent medicinal properties, amplifying their healing potential. The process of dilution and succussion is repeated over and over until the desired strength is achieved. Potentization of substances has 6 objectives. The dilution reduces side effects of substances. It reveals the dynamic curative power of medications. It renders even the most deadly poisons harmless, transforming them into beneficial healing remedies, like lachesis. It activates the healing potential of substances which are inert in their crude form, like salt. Medicinal qualities of other drugs are enhanced, broadening their sphere of action. And lastly, its objective is to deepen and expand the actions of substances. When it comes to dilution, homeopathy employs 2 main scales: the decimal scale, X or D, and the centesimal scale, C. The decimal scale is a 1 in 10 dilution, where 1 part of the original substance is diluted in 9 parts of a solvent, like water, alcohol, or lactose. The new solution is then succussed or triturated, and 1 part of that is then diluted in 9 parts of the solvent. Succussion or trituration takes place, then 1 part of that gets dissolved in 9 parts of the solvent. This process is repeated until the desired strength is reached. The amount of times it goes through this cycle is indicated by the number of the potency. For example, Magphos 6X has been through a 1 in 10 dilution 6 times, with trituration and or succussion between each round. The other scale used is the centesimal scale. This is a 1 in 100 dilution. The process is the same as the decimal scale, but 1 part of the substance is diluted in 99 parts of the solvents, and so on. So Apis 30C has been through a 1 in 100 dilution 30 times, with trituration and or succussion between each round. Homeopathic remedies are labeled with a number and letter to indicate the potency and scale used. The higher the number and the more cycles of dynamization, the greater the remedy's potency. Hahnemann, in his seminal work, The Organon of Medicine, outlined the principles that guide homeopathic practice. In aphorism 269, he stated, "Every day one still hears homeopathic medicinal potencies referred to as mere dilutions, while they are in fact quite the opposite. Trituration and succussion unlock the natural substances, uncover and reveal the specific medicinal powers lying hidden in their soul. The non-medicinal dilutants is only an auxiliary, though indispensable factor. Simple dilution, example of a grain of salt, results in nothing but pure water. The grain of salt disappears upon being diluted in a large amount of water and never thereby becomes the medicinal salt that our properly made dynamizations have raised to such a wonderful power." Here, Hahnemann explains that it is not the simple dilution that dynamizes the substance, but the trituration or succussion between each round that unveils the healing potential. This reveals that the more times a substance undergoes the potentization process, the stronger and deeper it acts, due to the succussion or trituration between each round. In aphorism 269, Hahnemann also explains the rationale behind dynamization. He likens its ability to uncover a substance's medicinal medicinal properties to a newly forged iron bar or steel rod. He states that when an iron bar or steel rod is newly forged, it has a hidden or latent magnetic force. If you stand the bar or pole upright, the bottom end repels the north pole of a magnetic needle and attracts the south pole, while the upper end does the opposite. It attracts the north pole and repels the south pole. However, this magnetic force is not strong enough to attract even the finest iron filings. In other words, the bar or rod is not yet a powerful magnet. Hahnemann then explains that if you want to make the bar or rod a truly active and powerful magnet capable of attracting iron and steel, you need to dynamize it. This process involves rubbing the steel rod strongly in one direction with a blunt file. The more you rub it, the more powerful the magnet becomes. After this dynamization process, the steel rod can not only attract iron and steel objects, but can also impart its magnetism to another steel rod, even when they are not in direct contact. The more you rub the rod, the stronger its magnetism becomes. He then goes on to say, similarly, by the trituration of a medicinal substance and the succussion of its solution, known as dynamization and potentization, the medicinal forces lying hidden in it are developed and uncovered more and more, and the material itself is spiritualized. Homeopathy often gets criticized because, according to chemistry calculations using Avogadro's number, which is 6.023 times 10 to the power of 23, once a substance has been diluted past the point of 12C, it no longer contains any molecules of the original substance. So then, how can it be medicinal? In aphorism 270, while explaining the steps of potentization, Hahnemann explains, if this mechanical process is properly carried out according to these instructions, the medicinal substance that seems to us in its crude state only matter, sometimes even non-medicinal matter, is at last completely transformed and refined by these progressive dynamizations to become a spirit-like medicinal force. This spirit-like medicinal force by itself is no longer perceptible to the senses, but the medicated globule acts as its carrier and demonstrates its curative power in the sick organism, meaning that potentization through dilution and succussion or trituration reveals the energetic healing capacity of substances. Even when it goes beyond degrees known to science, the medicinal energy remains. This is the doctrine of drug dynamization.